So going over the micrometer, there's some major components that we need to understand before we actually start using the micrometers and using them effectively. So frame by frame you have the frame, which is also a temperature sensitive component, which doesn't allow your heat to transfer into the measuring device. We all know that things expand with heat, so it actually absorbs the heat and doesn't go into the measuring component. Down here is actually printed on the frame is the range in which you are measuring. So micrometers go up per ranges. So for an imperial micrometer, we have a 0 to 1 inch. So you can't measure anything 1 inch or bigger. Then you'd have a 1 inch to 2 inch, a 2 inch to 3 inch, and so on and so forth. Across here we have the anvil. The anvil is a stationary piece of metal and it has a perfect machined surface. The red piece in the middle there, this guy right here, that is the object that you are measuring. So it doesn't matter what you're measuring, but that is what is going to be placed up against the anvil, and the spindle is what actually moves to make the contact. Next you have the lockout screw. So once you've measured something, you flip the lockout and you can actually take the micrometer out and make the reading rather than trying to read it in a tighter location. This piece inside here is called a sleeve, or sometimes called a barrel. They have fixed numbers or graduation lines on there, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Up here is our thimble. Each one of those lines represents a number. Again, we'll talk about that in a moment. And at the back we have our ratchet. So to move the spindle back and forth, we can use the thimble for the larger movements. We turn the thimble over and over and move the spindle closer and closer to the object. Once you're almost touching the object, then you must use the ratchet. The ratchet's very similar to a ratchet or a socket wrench or anything like that. What happens is it will tighten, 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 and then all of a sudden it will click. It will override or ratchet. It tells you that it is tight as possible. If you turn the thimble to make contact, what ends up happening, you can end up crushing the object that you are attempting to measure, which will give you an incorrect reading.